Welcome to Spilled Ink. Welcome back to another episode of Spilled Ink. I am joined today by former Bellevue standout Connor Mawhinney. Connor, welcome to the show. Does it feel like it's been that long since the De La Salle game?
It definitely doesn't feel that long, and it feels like you and I catch up like once a decade, something like that.
It really is true. Although, boy, I think it was when was that? Probably '08. So we're probably like actually getting closer to 20 years since the last time we caught up, which is
Yep.
scary. So going all the way back in the time machine, just, kind of walk me through what your memory is of that game leading up to that game, everything around the game.
I mean, there's so much about that game, and really, I think De La Salle starts way before that game ever happened. It was like a Wednesday, Thursday night practicing at Mount Si because we're getting ready to play Jonathan Stewart and Timberline in the playoffs. They had a grass field. We didn't have access to a grass field, so went out to Mount Si, practiced out there. And Butch huddled us up after practice and was kind of like, look, guys, this is what the opportunity is. I'm not going to say yes unless you guys are fully committed to this and you guys are bought in. That was kind of always his thing. Like the players had to own whatever the mission was way more than the coaches had to own it. And he always has done it like nobody else. But yeah, he gave us kind of that opportunity. I think everybody on the team said, let's do it. And back then we were like little old Bellevue. Nobody really knew who we were. Washington football really wasn't on the map yet at that point. But yeah, and then it was just a lot of work. It was
Mhm.
everybody being fully committed, getting into the weight room every single day, a lot of team bonding, and practicing, and doing this thing that Butch calls creating the knowing. Like you've put so much work in that in your mind there's no other result than getting the W or getting whatever result that you want.
Mhm.
And I think that's really what Bellevue football is all about, is creating that knowing, whether it's on the field or in life, and just helping kids realize that, yeah, you hear you can do whatever you want to do in life over and over and over again, and showing them that it's a reality. If you put your head down, do the work, that you can have some amazing outcomes because of
Mhm.
that work.
And so I'm gonna go back to that. So that was actually like that preparation, that was like a whole year before the actual game, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it was would have been like early November that we found out. We had 3 more weeks of the season, did our thing, won a state championship, and then it was right to work right away.
Mhm. And what year in school were you
I was
that
a
year?
I was a junior that year. JR was a junior. EJ was a junior. Pretty junior heavy team that year.
Yeah.
Tracy Ford was a senior.
Was that your, and then let's see, and that was that your first state title?
That
Or
was that was number 3.
okay, and then how many did you lose
Well,
a
I guess
game?
that was number 2 for me.
Okay. And did you so those 3 years, did you go undefeated the whole way?
No, we lost to Issaquah. I want to say like week 4 or 5.
Okay.
Super close game. I want to say it's 21-24. Got stopped on the goal line. His time expired. Just one of those tough losses. But retrospectively, one of those really necessary losses that kind of grounded us a little bit, and made sure that we knew we never wanted to feel like that again.
Hmm. And was that the junior year or
That was the junior year,
okay.
and then the next year we ended up going undefeated.
Okay. Um and then like just the build up to that. Like, I was just reading the story that the Times wrote the day of that game, and there were 24,000 people there, right? And just thinking about like when was the last time there were 24,000 people anywhere in Seattle for a high school football game? That was probably it, right? And so like just kind of walk me through that the week leading up to that game.
And we were really focused coming out of Fort Ward, and like there was a lot of talk just because it was an unranked Bellevue or 24th in the country, whatever we were. Nobody knew who we were. Playing De La Salle, hadn't lost in 12 years, 151 games. So there was a lot of talk we were going to get smacked, 63-0, blah, blah, blah. But we were really focused. Like none of that distracted us. We knew we put the work in. Pat, Butch, James, all those guys did such an amazing job preparing us and making sure that none of the outside noise got to us. And everybody just, they really knew what their job was, knew how to execute, and just dialed in.
Hmm. And
So
when
yeah,
you, oh, go ahead.
like the week leading up to the game wasn't that crazy for us. It felt like a normal game week. Game day, that was a different story. Everything was bigger. There was more fans. I remember O'Day all their players were sitting in the corner of the end zone, chirping at us, telling us that Dela was going to whoop us, whatever. Uh, but yeah, other than that, like we were hyped, ready to go. A lot of us couldn't warm up for that game, and then we just went out there and put it to them.
Hmm. And I remember, so then I went back and read the story that we did, and we went back and watched the game, and the one thing that stood out immediately was no passes, no punts, right? And to go play a team that had won 151 straight games, not throw a single pass, not punt, and put it on them. Like, how did you guys do that? And I know how exact that offense worked when it worked well, but how were you guys able to just execute that well?
I mean, I think early on, Butch, Pat, you know, Wes, Thad, James, all those guys dove really deep into De La Salle, read all their books. A bunch of us on the team read The Game Stands Tall and all those books about De La Salle. And we made a commitment that we were going to beat them at their game. So we took all the training that they did. We did 150% of what they were going to do. And that was the same thing with execution. We were going to out execute them. We were
Hmm.
going to make no mistakes, and we were going to run the ball down their throat until they took it away. And they
Hmm.
never took it away. And there was guys like the one thing about that team is those guys sold out for everybody else. Like Keith Rosenberg, he was a junior that year, not a huge guy. First play, I'll never forget this. Zach McNally, big linebacker, De La Salle, and we knew all these guys' names. Like, and we'll never forget them. We knew who they were. We knew what they did. Keith at 160 pounds puts his 240-pound linebacker on his back. JR runs right off his butt, 60-yard touchdown. And that's when we knew we were going to beat them.
Hmm.
Like we weren't worried when they scored, but after we first play scored, we knew we were going to put it to them. We could have put it to them a lot worse than that.
Hmm. And that was, I mean, just like the numbers of the game, like how many, I mean, truly like an incredible stat line for JR, right? I mean,
Yeah,
with 270, 300 yards, something like that, five touchdowns, something around there.
sounds about right.
Yeah. Um, and then to think about just that team and what that really like your group, what that started, right? Like you, JR, EJ, Steve Schilling, and the fact that it's like still going, right? What does that mean? Like how do you when you look at that and think we were a part of getting that going?
I mean, obviously, we're super proud, and like a lot of us came back and coached at Bellevue with Butch for a while. Yeah, super proud that's coming. It's carrying forward, but that doesn't like completely come from us. We learned from guys like Jeff Dix, Dan Dix, Lane Johnson, all these guys when we were growing up that were putting great product on the field, and then when Butch came in, turned just the raw product that they were putting on the field to championship level football. So
Hmm.
it started way before us.
Hmm. And then, the crazy thing I that I had forgotten about. So I knew that when I started covering preps at the Times, Michael Knipe was playing there. But then when I went back and read the story, and he was in fourth grade when you guys beat De La Salle, then goes on the run, wins all the state titles with Bellevue, and now is coaching at Bellevue. I think that's a testament to the program, right? That it just keeps bringing guys back and that, people continue to want to be a part of it. I mean, the fact that, that Joe Rosore is still there, right? I mean,
Yep.
that like guys they just want to see it continue.
Yep, for sure. And I think it's the relationships that grow out of that program that make it continue. Like, shit, JR lives in Thailand, 12 hours difference in time. I talk to him at least once a week. And normally, what are we talking about? We're talking about this year's Bellevue football team.
Hmm.
Like, that's how deep it runs. Yesterday, you know, we were talking, we're going to go to a practice at some point. Like, all the guys that have been through that experience truly care about these kids' success moving forward. And it really seems like Mike Knipe's doing a good job.
Hmm. Yeah, and that's, one thing I'm curious about, that I always want to hear from people who are directly involved in the program, right? Like, you know, over the years, just sort of like you win that much and there's a reputation that sort of builds and people don't like it, right? But the one thing that always impressed me is when you get down to sort of the basics, the reason why this team was successful wasn't, it was because kids grew up wanting to play for Bellevue and become a part of this thing. Not that, like all these kids were coming in from every which way, which was never actually really happening.
Yeah, I think that's like the biggest misconception about Bellevue football. Like the guys I played with, I've known my whole life. We grew up playing together. All these kids that are at Bellevue today probably all grew up playing together. Like, yeah, parents move, that kind of stuff happens. If their kid happens to be a good football player, cool, come on. But yeah, none of that recruiting stuff ever happened.
Hmm. Yeah, that was always and that was always the hard thing for me cover, because people are always like, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. And I'm like, guys, there like really actually isn't anything there. It's like these are just like they just, and I remember having conversations with Butch so often about just like how it worked at Bellevue, right? And if you look at the offensive lines every single year, it wasn't like everybody on that line was Steve Schilling. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
for
Like
sure. Far from it, actually.
exactly. Like, you had guys, Marcus Henry on, one of the teams that
Yep.
that I covered, and obviously Knipe and Jake Eldrenkamp, and there were guys that came through there, but they were playing against like, Zach Banner, for example, in the playoffs, right?
Totally. And
Yeah.
for every Jake Eldrenkamp or Marcus Henry, there was a Nick Santa or Cole Landis or, some smaller guy that fit that role, did his job, and made Bellevue successful. And that's really like, I think the misconception of Bellevue football. It's not about the Jimmies and Joes, and it's not even about the X's and O's, but it's about what's created in here and the brotherhood that's created and the want. Like, these kids work so hard that the wins are just an outcome of all that hard work. And
Mhm.
that's the wins aren't even what Bellevue football is all about. It's about, or at least Butch's Bellevue football was about helping young men transition into productive adults.
Mhm.
And that just happened to translate into wins on the football field.
Mhm. Well, and Bellevue couldn't do the things that Bellevue had done without kids that were completely bought in, right? I mean, while Butch obviously did put in wrinkles every year, it's the exact same offense every,
Yep.
year
It's
after
the
year.
it's the execution. It's knowing the exact splits that you need on every play. It's that wingback carrying out his belly fake 15 yards downfield and having disciplined eyes, not looking back at the field. It's that fullback getting hit another time when he's faking trap while his halfback's running free on sweep. That's what Bellevue football is all about. It's those people that are making sacrifices for their teammates, for other people to be successful and to be successful as a team.
Mhm. And then so I can't remember, you did get to watch last year's state title game.
Yep, I
Yeah.
watched it online.
And you know, I've talked to Coach Knipe about it, and as great as that O'Day team was, he was saying that actually O'Day did the one thing we didn't think that they were going to do, and that had a profound impact on the outcome of the game. What were your thoughts on that and that Bellevue team, and what have you heard about, how they could what they're doing this year?
I mean, I haven't heard much about this year. We'll see tomorrow night when I go to, or I guess tonight when I go to the game with JR later on. Um, actually watching that game, I thought those kids played hard, and it was really a testament of Mike Knipe and the job that he does with the kids. Because as much winning as they do, and as hard as it is to lose when you win so much, they lost with grace. They played their asses off. I was actually super proud of them.
Mhm. And
But with
go
that said, O'Day is insanely talented.
ahead.
Up front, unbelievable group of kids. I think majority of those kids are working with Tracy Ford and getting it in.
Mhm. Uh, and on that note, when you look at, because you mentioned that Washington football wasn't yet on the map when you guys beat De La Salle. Like what happened, right? Like how did Washington high school football become as strong as it was, particularly, I know that there are still dudes coming out, but when I was covering preps, local teams, Bellevue Skyline, were playing in huge games and winning most of them, right?
Yep.
Or being very competitive, like the Bellevue team that went down and lost a close game
To
against
Katie.
Katy with like a fraction of the players, right? Like I think the roster size was like a third of what
Yep.
Katy had, right? But what do you think? What happened? Like, how did it get to the point that it is now?
I mean, I think one, beating De La Salle just gave us the opportunity, it put us on the stage. People knew who we were, and people wanted to play us. And two, Bush didn't shy away. A lot of teams did not want to play Bellevue.
Hmm.
Straight up, did not want to play Bellevue. And the ones that did, Butch would say, "Come on, Long Beach Poly." One of the names in high school football.
Hmm.
No problem. Go smack them. Oaks Christian. Come on, let's go. I think Clay Matthews' dad was the coach. All right, let's go.
Hmm.
Didn't matter. And if you look at our record out of state, everybody talks about California football or Texas football. We've played them. Like it's just a bunch of 18-year-old kids playing football. There's no difference if you live in Washington, California, or Texas.
Hmm.
They're all the same.
Well, and I was at that Oaks Christian game. Um, and it was, one of those moments when you're like, oh yeah, this is like a moment in time, if you follow these kinds of things, right? And just the memories that those kids would then have. But I think did Bellevue lose another out of state game outside of Katy?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
that same year or the Long Beach Paul year, I forget which one. They lost to Grant High School in Sacramento,
Oh,
where
right.
Shaq Thompson went to.
Right. But Shaq wasn't on that team, or was
He
he?
was.
Okay.
He was on that team.
Okay.
He probably had a lot to do with that.
I would say so. That guy is truly one of the
He's special.
yeah.
Him, Buddha, Miles, those are special athletes.
Hmm. Did you coach Buddha? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't coach Buddha as a position coach, but I was a coach on the team that Buddha played on.
Well, and I have a hard time because, I think I first met Buddha when he was maybe 14.
Yep,
Um,
same.
yeah.
I think I'll never forget the first time I met Buddha. Our weight room was getting remodeled. There's this like alternative school that they use when things are getting remodeled called Robbinswood. We were working out there. Buddha's 13, 14 comes in and does like a 62-inch box jump, walks away with his, like it's nothing. It's like, who is that kid, man?
Yeah. I mean, it actually kind of pains me sometimes that he plays for the Cardinals, right? Because I am a Seahawks fan. And so like, it's like one of those things like, oh, Buddha, I love you so much.
How the Seahawks passed on him is like one of the greatest tragedies in
Yeah.
Seattle sports.
I know. And the crazy thing to me is I was watching, I don't know if you watched the game last night, but they did a pregame interview with him and I was like, man, how is that the guy? He was so quiet in high school. He was so quiet at UW. It was hard to like, I mean, he would have a conversation with me, but we had known each other for so long. And even that was
Yeah,
not,
super soft spoken.
yeah,
It's so funny watching him play.
yeah. And then yesterday he said something like, I forget, it was something about like going to war. And I was just like, like what? Like it was cool to see that kid become like a man and one of the best players in the NFL, right? Like
For
that.
I mean, even back when he was on the team that I was coaching on, like just instinctually, Buddha was always half a second faster than anybody else. It holds true in the NFL. Like if you truly watch when everybody else starts moving to the ball versus Buddha, it's always one step faster than everybody else.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean that, yeah, it's pretty
Just
cool.
special.
Yeah. Um, let's see. So and you kind of said this, that they're all 18-year-old kids. But now that you've, played in Washington, coached in Washington, now you're coaching in California, I think there are maybe some stylistic differences or, like what would you say the differences are in the football that's being played here and the football that's like the brand of football that's played in California?
I mean, as much as I hate to say this, Washington football is hard. Kid, it is not the same hard smash mouth football in California. Lots of finesse, lots of throwing the rock. I feel like it's a completely different game.
Hmm.
Completely different game. Yeah, lots of stylistic differences, definitely some attitude differences, definitely some things that refs let go in
Hmm.
California that they probably wouldn't let go up in Washington. But yeah, end of the day, football is football. Like, I haven't seen any athletes that I'm like, oh wow, never seen those in Washington.
Hmm.
It's the same thing.
Hmm. Um, oh, I was just thinking of something I was going to ask you about that. Um, it actually reminds me, you talking about how hard that the hitting can be up here. Last year's Eastside Catholic O'Day game at Eastside Catholic, so it was the regular season game. It was the loudest I have ever heard people hitting, you know?
Just pads thumping.
Yeah, and it was just like it just felt different, right? And I was like, I've been to a lot of high school football games, and I don't know why it feels so loud right now, but it was just like the intensity of it, and particularly like when you look at the lines of both of those teams, being, having so much talent, it tracks, right? But to your point, there is that physical aspect, despite seeing, guys putting up big numbers, recently passing the football, right? Um, it still is like a physical brand of football up here.
Yep, super physical. I feel like the run game is more mature up here. Like you actually have running backs, vertically challenging players in California. Everybody's getting to the sidelines, and yeah, it's a lot softer.
Mhm. And I know that you're not, like crazy plugged in, but I have to ask, if you happen to see any sort of video or clip of Max Jones hurtling the
Yes,
Lake Stevens guy.
I did.
Okay.
I
Would you have
did.
thrown a flag?
No. For what?
That was That was my point.
All
Exactly.
right.
Yeah.
For what? For what? That kid seems like a stud, though.
Oh, yeah. No, he's a great kid from all of my, and I didn't know, like, I've watched him now a bunch of times, and he's one of those guys, like typical Bellevue running back, just hits the hole and goes, right? And then to see him make an athletic play like that, and and I've been like wrestling with this the whole time. I actually called a friend of mine, who's an official, and I was like, what do you think of this? And and just because of the whole like point in the game, all that, like, letter of the law, whatever, like, how can you make that call, with like 2 minutes left in a big game, right?
Horrible call, but you got to live with it.
Yeah. Do you think like stuff like you mentioned earlier, about how that Issaquah loss helped your team down the stretch? I was thinking, and in talking to Coach Knipe about losing a game like that to Lake Stevens th with a young team could actually, in some ways, maybe be better, not better necessarily than winning the game, but just as impactful about future success.
For sure. I mean, losses just force like hyper accountability and transparency if you want to be a winning team. And I know Mike has that team dialed in, and I know if you're playing for Bellevue, there's no doubt you want to be a winning team. So yeah, I'm sure they're going to come out of that loss and be better for it.
Hmm. And then
Practice
just, oh, go ahead.
practice probably looked a little bit different this week.
Yeah, no, it was really interesting. I was listening to Coach's post game talk, and just the expectation, and then just being in there the next morning for film, and that it immediately is on to the next week. It's certainly the way that people invest in football is different than when I played, right? And I thought that I was pretty invested, and then just to see what it takes to then get to a level where you're not only just competing locally, but nationally as well, right? Um, that's always like just that we play a game, we're back at it the very next day,
Yeah.
like a college or,
I mean, that was like, at least in my class, that was like our favorite part was won the championship. All right, peace, seniors. Now it's our year. Now we're in the weight room the next Monday, and now we're moving. Like
yeah.
it's this is the best part of the season. This is where we get to get better. So during the regular season, we can show our product.
Mhm. Um, Anything else? Like what haven't we covered? Anything else about that the De La Salle game or um, anything what you're up to now, anything like that?
I mean, Dalo is just a once in a lifetime experience. Like definitely super proud of the product that we put in the field or put on the field, but more proud of just how kids continue to step up to the plate and continue the traditions of Bellevue.
Hmm. Do you when's the last time you watched the game?
Oh, it's been 15 years, probably something like that, a long time. Sometime I'll sit down with some homies and watch the game. I
Yeah,
don't know.
maybe the last time we watched it.
Oh, yeah, probably up in the weight room.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Also, which is crazy the way that that is now different because I believe wasn't it in like portables at that point?
We went through so many horrible weight rooms at Bellevue before they settled on this last one. And now I think things are good.
Yeah.
Like that. It's super funny. Like I'll talk to people about Bellevue that aren't from Bellevue, and they'll expect like we have the Bellevue Club weight rooms. I'm like, dude, we were working out in portable trailers and 1960s weights, like
Yeah.
just making it happen.
Yeah, it is interesting because I've seen high schools that have like elite facilities,
For sure.
and like even now, like I wouldn't, and this is not a knock on the school at all, right? But I wouldn't call Bellevue's football facilities like elite by any
No, not
stretch,
not even close. Like I live out by Folsom High School. We're like Jake Browning went, a couple guys went there. Their facilities are ridiculous, ridiculous. And I candidly think Bellevue, under Butch at least, would have smacked Folsom every day of the week.
Hmm.
And they have like college level facilities.
Yeah. And I think that's always been the point. Although, oh, that is one thing I wanted to ask you, because I was sad about it. Did you hear that they weren't able they can't go to Fort Worden anymore?
I I talked to Pat Jones, I don't know, maybe 4 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, something like that. And he was telling me that like the manager of the camp was embezzling money, some crazy story. Yeah, super sad. I think Fort Worden is just like one of the most impactful experiences that comes out of Bellevue football and possibly the most important tradition of Bellevue football.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, credit to Coach Knight for finding another way to do it. But yeah, it's like it was that, right? Like it was going to that specific place. Um, and it's always fun. I've seen Pat a couple of times, and just in the summer, and I went to their first game of the year, and honestly, it was weird seeing Pat as a head coach, and it
Not
was
in blue and gold. Yeah,
exactly,
it's
exactly.
so weird, but I, not a better coach in Washington State. Like literally everything I know about football is from Butch, Pat, James Hasty, the Risoris, all those guys, and just I'm just so glad that Pat has a team that he can continue to pass some of these things down to.
hmm Yeah, no, I was asking him because they had played Bothell that game, and I was like, oh, like you and Tom Bainter have been coaching against each other for a long time, and he's like, dude, I've been coaching in Washington since the 80s, like
Yep.
nobody, and I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, so like you and Monty, right? Not
Yeah, for sure. That's probably the two it is.
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm trying to think of anyone else that would be active. It's probably got to be those
Yeah,
two.
Pat Monty and Sid Otten.
Yeah, but I don't think Sid's coaching
Yeah,
anymore.
I
Yeah.
think he's been retired for a while.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's just it's cool and actually interesting, because if what like where Pat would rank on the all-time wins list if he had been the head coach, like that would be an interesting number to kind of put together.
Yep. Super happy that Bellevue ended up with Mike. I think Mike's doing an awesome job. But Butch should have never been out of there. Like
Yeah.
that's the biggest tragedy to all these kids that they didn't get to experience playing football for Butch because
Yeah.
that was something special and somebody being selfish took that away from them.
Yeah. No, I will that's always and I wasn't here when all of that or I wasn't working at the Times anymore when all of that went down. But I was fortunate enough in the brief stint that was the Seattle Dragons of the XFL. Butch was our running backs coach,
Yep.
and I was doing social media. And so to get to kind of reunite with him for a while was awesome. And it's
That's
actually
probably super cool hanging
oh, it
out
was
with Butch and Hayes and all those guys.
yeah, it was so great, right? Like it was like kind of like a reunion, and to get to like actually work with Butch and not cover Butch was pretty cool. And he was just like I don't know, I mean, truly was like is just a good dude.
Super good dude, cares about kids, like in it for all the right
Yeah,
reasons. No ego, wants these kids to have a great experience, wants as many kids as possible to go to college and play at the next level. Like,
yeah. Would hate that we're talking about him right
yeah, dude.
now. Yeah,
Yeah, Butch, if you're watching this, one of the best.
yeah, for sure. Well, I appreciate it. Enjoy the game tonight. Tell JR I said hello. Anybody else you see. It's been really cool getting to cover that team and that, we're still talking, 20 years later,
Yeah, crazy.
is pretty
Crazy. I
awesome.
mean, I'm feeling old that it's been 20 years.
Yeah. So what that game was, yeah, was it 20, it was 20 years ago, right?
Yeah, 21 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Long time.
Yeah, that's
Getting up there.
crazy. Yeah, we'll just pretend we're still, kids and
Yeah,
not in our 40.
100%. And I
Yeah.
hope all these kids at Bellevue are taking advantage of that and realize this stuff goes by fast. And if you don't do it right, you'll have some regret. And there's nothing worse in life than regret. But if you
Yeah.
do it right, you're going to have memories for your lifetime.
Yeah. And that I think I'm on the opposite side of that where you guys did do that. I feel like I sort of, if I could do it over again, particularly like with football, I would do things a lot differently and, feel like wouldn't say it's necessarily regret, but wish I had made a different choice. As far as like my investment level, particularly like as a senior. And, so yeah, if any kids happen to be listening, definitely make the most of every opportunity because you only get it one time.
Yep. And it goes damn fast.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, I'm
Cool,
I'm bummed
Mason.
out. What's that?
I said, cool.
Oh yeah, I'm bummed I won't be running into you tonight, but I got to go to EC in O'Day, which
Nice.
should
Where's
be
that one at?
it's at West Seattle Stadium.
All right.
Yeah,
Shoot. Maybe
yeah,
we pop over that one. I don't know. We just want
yeah.
to see some good football.
That's going to be a good one. I think Eastside Catholic is, although they didn't get to play last week, but and they haven't necessarily been tested yet. And I think O'Day is a little bit banged up, but definitely have an EC team that wants to avenge last year's semifinal loss, and an O'Day team that is, as talented as
Is Wes still coaching at Eastside? Wes Warren?
I don't know. Actually, what's actually interesting is I'm doing more and more work over there, but I haven't gotten to spend a lot of time like around the staff. Other than like talking to Coach Dom occasionally, but I think he is.
Wes is Bellevue legend.
Okay.
This guy was so foundational for us beating De La Salle. Like this is predates huddle. There's no huddle at this point. This guy finds this like random editing hard drive called a Landro and dedicates like 10 hours a day to breaking down every game that De La Salle has played in like the last 15 years.
That's crazy.
Insane.
It is crazy when you think about that. Like, I felt like at that time, we're like, oh, we're on the cutting edge of technology. And now it's like that. Anything we had then was
Dude,
embarrassing.
archaic.
Yeah. Oh God.
Absolutely archaic.
Yeah. So
But shout out to Wes for breaking down all that film because
yeah, that's
like,
amazing. Well, if you do end up at West Seattle Stadium,
yeah, I'll hit you up.
yeah, hit me up, and otherwise, enjoy a Friday night in Washington.
Yep, always. It's
All
not
right,
hot, so I love it.
man.
All right, man.
All right, take care.
Mason. Bye.
Bye.